Hey, how are you? I am Chris Robin, aka at Detroit Beastie, here with Fantasy Six Pack to talk about Monday Night Football. The Buffalo Bills go to New Jersey, New York, MetLife Stadium, same place as last night's game, to battle the New York Jets. Before I get into, point spreads, over-unders, I have some big time player projections, and it's going to be another odd one. This weekend was odd to begin with, some nasty injuries, but I'm not stuck, but we need to move forward and look at the here and now, which is Monday Night Football. Over under at around 41 points. Kickoff is at 8:15 p.m. Get to the website at fantasy6pack.net. When you get there, look around and see what's best for you. A premium option, or you want to keep taking in the free stuff, you're well within your rights to do that. Or you can head over to the Discord, which is free, but there are some premium channels. That's where everything is going on. Something, we've done the same song and dance through 6 weeks already, so let's just get into it. Buffalo and at the Jets, I should say, over under 41. Kickoff is at 8:15 p.m. There's a lot to like in this game in terms of superstars. Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers. Is he washed? Is he not? It doesn't matter. You look at some of the studs for the wide receiver portion. Garrett Wilson, 22 targets last week. Does that carry over? Dawson Knox has just been completely forgotten in favor of Dalton Kincaid, who hasn't done much himself. So what's going on here? Do we get prime Green Bay Aaron Rodgers? Is he going to do this maybe once every 3 or 4 games where he's just absolutely locked in, just a stone cold stud? And will Buffalo and Josh Allen get that passing game going? Because right now, I'm not saying anything we don't already know. The Buffalo Bills passing game has not been clicking. Buffalo 3-2 and the Jets 2-3. Kickoff 8:15 p.m. Let's get into it. And when we look at Josh Allen this evening, Josh Allen in New Jersey or against the Jets. The Jets first overall against opposing quarterbacks. That's tough, right? Josh Allen 16-5 on FanDuel, 11 grand on DK, 18 to 19 completions, around 200 yards, a touchdown pass, and I have him for around 35 to 40 yards on the ground and another touchdown, a rushing touchdown. And last week in week 5, Josh Allen has not been Josh Allen. He was only 9 for 30 last week. Week 5. And again, this Buffalo passing game is not clicking. Josh Allen, 3 games of 180 yards or less in the air. And the Jets, they've only given up 2 passing touchdowns all season. It's going to be tough sledding for Buffalo and Josh Allen, but if anyone can get over the hump, it's going to be Josh and the Bills. When we look at Aaron Rodgers, he's questionable this evening. Well, I think he's got something going on with his ankle, high ankle sprain, something along those lines. He's thrown for only 2 touchdowns, or actually it's not only, it's pretty good. Aaron Rodgers, 2 touchdowns in 3 of the last 4 games played. Buffalo 10th overall against defending opposing quarterbacks. I got A-Rod, 23 to 24 completions, around 250 passing yards, which would be something because he's only topped 244 yards passing in a game only 1 time this season, and 1 touchdown pass. So not saying that the days are gone of Josh Allen, being accountable for 3 touchdowns and Aaron Rodgers 3-4 touchdowns. Just not this week. Fingers crossed. Been pretty smooth sailing in terms of these videos. Although Sunday Night Football was not as expected. The point spread was good. So I take Cincinnati minus the 3.5 points, but the final score prediction was off. The player projections were kind of off. So we're gonna get back onto the good graces of the DFS gods on Monday Night Football. When we look at the running backs here, James Cook's questionable, Ty Johnson, Ray Davis, the rookie, or we can transition or pivot to Breece Hall as the Jets, Studley, fingers crossed again that he gets going, Breece Hall, and then even their rookie, Braylon Allen. Where are we going with this? I mean, until further notice, James Cook is going to be my move for the Buffalo Bills backfield. The Jets, 9th overall against opposing running backs, and when you look at James Cook, 16, 17 carries, around 70 to 75 yards, I think is, I don't want to say that's the ceiling here, because any of these guys could go off for a $150, $120, and we're moving on. 3 to 4 receptions for Jay Cook, around 20 yards. And when you look at James Cook's usage, I have all these little notes, and they're in that little, it's like I'm writing with a needle. I do it every damn video, and I'm, like Mr. Magoo, I need, bifocals or magnifying glass to get through this. Four straight weeks of 58% or less of the snaps. So yeah, you could say he's been a somewhat efficient in a way, only seeing 58 or less, snaps. But Ty Johnson's going to be involved, 2 to 3 carries, 10 yards, maybe not. But when I look at the predictions, and Ray Davis is just, unfortunately, he's an afterthought. He's just blah. I wrote blah, and he's just best suited as kind of an up-and-comer behind James Cook, as an understudy, or what they say, in show business, if you're on Broadway, right? But when you look at Ty Johnson, go back to him briefly, Ty, at least 44% of the backfield touches in week 4 and 5. So that bodes well. It's going to be a combo of James Cook and Ty Johnson. When we look at the Jets backfield, this is where we're going to want to attack this sucker, because when I look through the notes, the DVPs are red across the board, except for the Jets running backs. Buffalo's 31st overall against opposing running backs. So Breece Hall going to get a lot of, latitude to run around out there. 14 carries, 60 yards. 4 to 5 receptions for another 35 to 40 yards. So you could just round up if you wanted to. You go to Walgreens or CVS and you pay for something that said you want to round up the total for Red Cross or the schools or something. So I'm going to round up with Breece Hall, give him 100 all-purpose yards, and we'll go from there. However, the Bills are allowing 5.2 yards a carry per game to running backs. Again, Breece Hall makes for an outstanding MVP captain spot, and we'll go from there. Braylon Allen also going to be in play. He's seen 61% of the offensive snap shares in 4 of the last 5 games. And I said, the Buffalo Bills, 5.2 yards a carry they're giving up to opposing running backs. When we look at the wide receivers, not much going on here as well. The Jets are 5th overall against defending opposing running backs. And what does Buffalo have, that isn't, kind of standard across the league? Curtis Samuel, Matt Collins. I don't think Khalil Shaker plays. And if he does, not that, people use the word, decoy. That was probably, coined maybe when Calvin Johnson was in his heyday. They're just going to put him out there because you have to pay attention to a guy who's 6'5", 240 pounds. He's a monster. Khalil Shaker is good in his own right, but he's not, he's not built like in a lab like Calvin or Larry Fitz or even DK, let's say. But Keon Coleman might be our spot tonight. He's a rookie, obviously, 10 grand on FanDuel, 6'8" on DK. I have Keenan Coleman, 4 to 5 targets, 3 to 4 receptions, 45 to 50 yards, and he'd talk about being efficient and doing the most with your looks. Keenan Coleman, 19.4 yards a reception, but get this, the New York Jets DST only allowing 161.2 pass yards a game. But hey, Keon Coleman could, be 75, 80 yards and debunk that myth, in addition to Curtis Samuel, who I also like, which is strange because he's only got 13 targets so far this year. But that was then, this is now. You look at Curtis Samuel, 4 or 5 targets, 3, 4 receptions, 25 to 30 yards. And I think they're going to have to get creative or inventive, if that makes sense, with a carry or two, an end around, a reverse, probably this end around reverse, probably the same thing. But let's say Khalil Shaker does not play. I love Keenan Coleman and Curtis Samuel, MVP flex, and we'll move on from there. When we look at the Jets wide receivers, again, as I said, the Jets 5th against opposing wide receivers, Buffalo Bills 4th against opposing wide receivers. But Garrett Wilson, after that 22 target, look last week, has he broken through? Is that's all water under the bridge? We can roll with Garrett Wilson moving forward. Yes, absolutely. He's going to cost you a pretty penny, 14.5 on FanDuel, but you're looking at 10 to 11 targets, 6 to 7 receptions, 80 to 85 yards. But this thing, 22 targets last week. He did a lot of good. It was, a lot of ho-hum stuff leading up to last week. But he only has 2 receptions of 20 or more yards all season. Does he get one of those, tonight, 20-plus yards? We will see. Given the Buffalo DST and their secondary, could be a lot of, I don't want to say dink and dunk stuff, because Garrett Wilson is a big-bodied wide receiver all in himself. Mike Williams, Allen Lazard, Xavier Gibson. I'm good with Gibson. You look at Lazard, 4 to 5 targets, 3 to 4 receptions, around 40 yards. And come to find out that old school Green Bay connection between A-Rod and A-Laz. A-Rod and A-Laz, 4 touchdowns over the last 5 games for Lazard, but he's only topped 60 receiving yards one time. So as it stands now, give me Breece Hall. Breece Hall and Keon Coleman, both in the MVP captain spot conversation, and you could bump up Curtis Samuel, flex MVP, along with Allen Lazard. When we look at the tight ends, not much going on here. Dalton Kincaid, they drafted him to be the heir apparent, to be like that hybrid Studley tight end wide receiver kind of deal. He's averaging 11.1 yards a reception, but he's only got 1 touchdown all season. Again, it goes with what I'm saying. Buffalo passing game isn't clicking, and tonight's not the night to kind of, get it going where Josh Allen's going to have 350 yards and everything's going to be okay going into week 7. The Jets second overall against opposing tight ends, 5-6 targets, 4 to 5 receptions, around 40 or so yards. And again, this DVP stuff will only get us so far. I use it for the sake of the video for a time crunch, although I don't know anything about crunching time, especially in these videos. There is going to be passes and targets and receptions and yardage, so DVP only plays a small role. When we look at the Jet side of things, Jeremy Ruckert is in play. If Tyler Conklin is questionable with some sort of hip injury, I think Conklin plays. 5-6 targets, 4 to 5 receptions, around 40 yards. He's got 23. This is Tyler Conklin, has 23 targets over the, strewn about the last 3 games. Again, Conklin hasn't scored a touchdown either himself. When we look at the DSTs, not much going there. I have like a 24-17 final, 24-21 kind of final. So points for, points against aren't going to play a role in this thing. I got Bills and the Jets, 2 to 3 sacks. Only difference is I have the Bills with 1 extra takeaway, a fumble recovery, as I have both teams with an INT. When we look at the kickers, Tyler Bass, Greg the leg, standard stuff here. The only move you could make, maybe Greg, the Jets stall out, inside the red zone because Buffalo is 5th overall against opposing kickers. So the Jets will be able to move the ball somewhat, but if they stall out, Greg the leg has it in him to kick those, 54, 55-yard field goals. I'll give you some recent betting trends, final score, and we will get the heck out of here. The Buffalo Bills, 9-3 their last 12 games. The Jets, 4-11 against the spread their last 15 games. Buffalo 6-2 their last 8 games versus the Jets, and the Jets overall 5-10 their last 15. So I like the Buffalo Bills to win this one. Let's just say 24-21. I could see a case where it's 24-17, which would be the under. If the final score is, as I said, 24-21, that would be over by a few points. So let's just take the points, the minus points for Buffalo, and we will go from there. Be good, be safe. Buffalo wins this one 24-21. We'll rest for a few days, and then we'll do it all over again for Thursday Night Football. Talk to you later. Bye.